Good afternoon, racers. Today we have with us Rory Steur, and he is the team principal for the Magik Kart product line. Rory, say hello.
Hey everybody, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good.
So if anyone wants to chat live, you can go to Spreaker.com, look for either NorCal Carters, and then look for the PR press release page, and you can chat live if you have a question for Rory. And also I'll post a link on the NorCal Carters page right now. So if you want to chat live, you can go do that through the app. So Rory, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me on here. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. It's so this podcast, this episode's brought to you by SwedeTech Racing Engines, and you've been a customer of SwedeTech for over a year now, I think, if we were to go back and look. But so that's why this podcast is possible. Thank you to SwedeTech Racing, and I wanted to have you on because you kind of had an okay weekend in Newcastle, didn't you?
Yeah, it was more than okay. I mean, for all the three of the drivers, it was absolutely one of the best weekends I think I've seen in a while, especially for a kart brand for a driver to win at each day in the main event, in either every driver either winning a pre-final, or no, we didn't have Andrew didn't put it on pole Friday, but I put it on pole Saturday. AJ put it on pole Sunday, but overall it was just an absolutely incredible weekend.
Yeah, I mean it's I wasn't at the event directly, so I was watching some of it from Race Hero, and I kept seeing your driver names pop up on the top of the charts. Like, oh, we're at all right. You guys are doing great out there. So give us a little bit of history on Magik Kart. One, are you the team principal? Or are you the owner? Tell our listeners who you are.
Yeah, so I'm the owners are me and Andrew Bajozo. But so basically, around this time last summer, me and Andrew got really, really, really close with each other. So Andrew was in the hunt for the championship last year, and it was around like May of last year when he came back to the East Coast after his Croc promotion ride, and he hit me up and he's like, hey, let's go to Pitt for a weekend and just go pound some laps. And I was like, all right, sounds good. So we went there and then went for like 3 days, and then I stayed at his house for that week. And AJ Myers actually came over to Ohio, and we were like, let's go drive Newcastle for 3 days. So packed up the truck and trailer and just went out there and also pounded more laps, all three of us. And then we all got really close for the last rounds of the Pro Tour here at Newcastle. So our relationship really grew last summer. But me and Andrew, since we only live 4 hours from each other, got really, really close. And then we were deciding what we wanted to do for next year, and we always wanted to have our own thing because we like to have our own input on what happens to our own chassis. So we were like, we should just start our own chassis brand. So we started looking around, and the Robbie and Andrew's team, they had a mechanic, Peppo Morcia from he lives in Italy near where our karts are made, and he recommended a chassis manufacturer to make our karts for us, and we got deeper into the information, and we saw that this could be a really good opportunity. So we his brand in Italy, or his team, I'd say, he doesn't really have a kart brand. He just has a team. It's called Kart Magik, and he's our middleman for us, for our manufacturer. So we asked him if we could use his name as a kart brand, and he said no problem. So we really have a very strong relationship with Peppo, and we talk to him weekly, ins and outs, and what's going on in the factory. He goes there often, gets us updates. So that he's basically why our kart is called Magik Kart. It's through him.
It's okay, nice. Now, did you do the blue and yellow because of your tie-in with SwedeTech?
not intentionally.
So I told you I would tie in the SwedeTech name a few times because they're the ones paying for this podcast, and not intentionally. That would be a honestly, that would be a very bold move to be that tied in with a separate company.
Yeah, so it's been fun.
Yeah. Now, definitely. So what makes the Magik cart or Kart Magik? What makes it unique from other chassis out there or some of the other product you've been on in the past?
Yeah, so I've noticed with ours is the balance from front to rear. You know, like you get the cart on track and sometimes you go out and you're like, man, there's too much front grip, like standard out of the box position. With our cart, it's always balanced, and I think the reason behind that is because if anyone ever looks at our brake caliper or our brake master cylinder, it is not a fixed master cylinder. It actually floats like up and down. So if you like try to shake our master cylinder with your hand, it actually moves up and down. So our theory behind that a little bit is that it just doesn't create a bind when we push the brake and we release it and then give it the gas. So it's just very, very balanced overall.
Okay. So I'll slow it down for a lot of the people. I've seen it, so I know what you're talking about. So your brake master cylinder actually floats on the chassis.
Yeah, it is not. It's bolted by one bolt, but it can move up and down. Like it's only usually like I remember on the OTK master cylinder is 2 bolts, so it's stationary, the master cylinder, but ours is floating. So when we press the brake pedal, the bar that goes from the brake pedal into the master cylinder, it's still moving up and down rather than it's being like a fixed bar.
Got it.
Yep.
And you feel that translates into a better feel or actually a faster lap time on the track?
For me, it just makes it more stable under braking, and especially for KZ, all the time is made up on the brakes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or most of the time is made up on the brakes. Sorry.
On the brakes or horsepower, right?
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of horsepower, so I'm catching you between rounds 1, 2, and 3 from the Newcastle SCUSA Summer Nationals and rounds 4, 5, and 6, which take place in a couple of days. And you're running in the pro class. Your other buddies, AJ and Andrew, they're running in the pro class. And you can run either the IAME 175 or a KZ package. I know you personally have multiple engine packages. How do you decide, and what did you end up running last weekend?
We all ended up running the 175 because the engine builder you might be familiar with, my 175s built by SwedeTech are just incredible. I can go on track and trust those engines to perform to the max every single time. And my KZs are okay, but they're not trustable at every track. The 175s I can trust that they can be very, very competitive every single track I go to.
Okay. Now, did you try the KZs at Newcastle just to make sure you weren't leaving anything on the table?
I didn't even bring them.
Oh, you didn't even bring them?
No.
Wow. That's pretty bold.
Yes.
So the 175 was your choice at the shop. It said, this is what we're rolling with. This is what we have.
Yeah, so past races, I've tried both, and honestly, I don't like doing that. I would rather just stick to one thing and make it work.
I think that makes a lot of sense because then you can actually figure out that package's nuance, get the tuning in, etc.
Yeah, exactly. And it definitely switching back and forth. It's a little bit different of a driving style because the 175 has so much torque. You can just let the engine roll to the corner. You can lug the engine. With the KZ, it's more of getting in, getting out.
Yeah, keep your momentum up.
Yes.
And what is as a driver, what is your favorite part of the race? Is it practice? Is it qualifying? Is it the start? I mean, you're a shifter driver, so you do the standing starts. What's your favorite part?
Yeah.
Like, if you were just to do one thing over and over again, which part would it be?
The heat is in like the middle of the race. Like when I was in the pre-final or final, like chasing AJ down, like the feeling of doing that it's hard to compare because you're just in the heat of the battle. Nothing else matters besides catching the person in front of you. And especially with shifter racing, it's easier to follow because you have a better reference on how really deep you can go on the brakes. And like I said before, braking is huge in KZ. So I really like it to be in the heat of the moment, like middle of the race, like chasing the person in front of me, or like definitely the starts though as well, because I think I'm like one of the best at the starts. I mean, I don't want to be too cocky, but like I really have practiced my starts, and I think I got them down pretty well.
Yeah, well, you are on a podcast talking about yourself, so I guess it's okay to be a little cocky. Yeah, starts are. I love the starts. So if it ever came down to a last lap, and AJ's in front of you, and you had to finish in front of him for a championship, are you moving him out of the way?
That's hard to say.
He's on your cart.
That's very hard. Yeah. Because if we made contact and something happened, it would not go down well at the 10th.
I'm going to take that as a yes, you would, because you didn't say no, I would have team members and let him bring home the brand name for the good of the team. You're like, that's hard.
Yeah, but he already has, I think, 2 championships. So
there you go. So he has his trophies. It's time for yours.
I think he has 2, 1 or 2. I thought. I'm not sure. But yeah, it would. I would have to think a couple turns ahead before I do that. Maybe a couple laps.
All right. Well, since we just hypothetically took out your teammate for a championship, who would you say in your tent is the most passionate personality, driver or mechanic?
AJ and his dad.
AJ and his dad.
Yeah,
and how do you manage that?
I know. I expected this. I know they have pure dedication for winning. So I knew what I was getting my hands into. But I mean, I love it. All they want to do is win. That's the only thing that they won't settle for anything else. And it's really good because it pushes all the other drivers to do that as well. Like when we come off the track, going over the carburation on the data, going over driving line, GoPro video, everything helps everybody, and it's really like a true team effort, especially when AJ and his dad are there.
Yeah, I know Mike can get pretty fired up.
Yeah, he loves it just as much as AJ.
That's good. So you think it helps push the whole team further?
Yes.
All right. So now for a really hard-hitting question. I'm like a true journalist here. So the hard-hitting question of the day. For your bath towels, do you like it with or without fabric softener? With fabric softener. All right. I have no idea why I asked you that question, but I told you earlier, there's really not a lot of structure to this program. So what else would you like to highlight or talk about? Let's talk about Gunner. Let's talk about Pops.
Yeah.
I've seen his name before on some of these national events in the G1 or the G2 classes, and let's talk about Gunner.
Yeah, so my dad actually started his adventure in the motorsports in the late '90s, early 2000s when he really got into car racing, and then he actually bought a LMP2 car in the early 2000s. It was a Lola B2K40, and then he wanted to do the American Le Mans series, so he started that and did about 3 years with that car. I mean, he did on low budget, but he just wanted to be out there sometimes. But then he started to realize, man, you need to have a more competitive car to even compete now. So he got a kind of like a, I wouldn't say deal, but he got like some sort of way of getting a Radical SR9 prototype LMP2 chassis. So he got a contact from them, and he got all that information to get the car over here, and then competed from 2006 to 2009 in that car, and was much more competitive. So once he was done with that, he was like, he wanted to ask me and my brother if he wanted to start go-kart racing. So we tried it. We didn't really like it at first, actually, and then came around to like when I was end of cadet years, like 10 or 11, I got back in it, and then ever since then I stayed in it. But yeah, my dad really just enjoys motorsports, and once I started to have my own stuff, like the last 2 years when I had my own mechanic, every single race, he just came to the race to watch. He was like, man, I kind of getting bored of just watching, so he started to drive again, and now he's doing G1 or G2 actually, and then Rock Shipper Masters, and it's funny when we all watch him, but he's definitely getting better.
Yeah, I talked to him a little bit last year because I saw his name on one of the entry forms, and you know, to me, Gunnar is your dad. It's like he's not a racer; he's just your dad. And I saw his name on an entry list. Like, were you racing last weekend? And he just goes, yeah. And he goes, you know what? I just wanted to be out there and just have fun and enjoy the track. And I think it might have been Newcastle, but it was, it was just, and he just said, yeah, I just wanted to go try the track out. And it's like, and it's such a neat dynamic where here you are, you have 3 guys running in the pro class, and you're willing to take your teammate out for a championship. And then here's your dad just going, I just want to drive the track. I want to have fun.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. My dad, like, he refuses to, like if he gets practice tires, he'll, like, refuse to use them. He'll just give them to me. So
as far as the new practice tires?
Yeah, like new practice tires, he'll just give them to me. Because he's like, nah, I'm not going to learn anything on that.
Well, that helps your racing program.
My dad used to. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I kind of thought that you guys had a car background because I remember it, I think it was NOLA 2 or 3 years ago. It was at one of the winter tour events. And you pulled up and your trailer was just so unique looking. It's like, what is this thing? This is not a karting trailer. Do you want to describe the trailer for people?
Sure. I mean, I don't. It's all in my dad. Like, I don't really. I like it, but it's all right. Like, I wish I just had a Sprinter van, but yeah, it's like it's just a fiberglass small trailer. I mean, my dad hates being overkill. He kind of does everything underkill. I guess I don't know if that's a word, but yeah, it's kind of gets annoying. But he only likes it because it's lightweight and like it doesn't really weigh down any vehicle towing it. But
it's lightweight and it has an aero. I mean, it's very aerodynamic.
Yeah. But yeah, he has a big rig for the car stuff as well. He still has everything. He still has the Radical. He sold the Lola, but he still has all the Radical, the big rig. He sits at his shop in our house in our hometown in Maryland.
That's right. You are from what was that, the Northeast?
Maryland, yeah. State
Maryland.
That doesn't really
New England.
produce karters.
Maybe not New England, but
no, it's Mid-Atlantic.
Mid-Atlantic, is that what you call the region?
Yeah, it's around. It's like the area's like Mid-Atlantic.
Okay. Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like right on the water, and you can go crabbing and
Yeah.
do all that fun stuff.
Yeah, right on the Chesapeake Bay.
Beautiful. Beautiful stuff. So what's the rest of your week look like? Because I assume you had a good weekend last weekend, so you're probably staying in Indiana, getting ready for rounds 4, 5, and 6. How does that look for you this week? Walk us through. Walk us through.
Yeah. So yesterday we went back to the track, cleaned some karts, and then today we told me, Andrew, and my mechanic Thomas we were just like, let's just have a chill day and just relax for a little bit, because we've been going straight at it for 2 weeks, so this will be our third weekend, so we just need a day of doing absolutely nothing. And then tomorrow we'll go. There's actually unofficial practice tomorrow, but I'm not sure if we're going to run tomorrow because I just don't know if we are, and because I don't want to burn up more equipment. But tomorrow we'll probably go to the track again and clean some more karts, and then Thursday is official practice, which we'll do every single session, all the drivers, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, basically the same thing. But actually, I'm really excited for this weekend because they're running it backwards, and I raced this track backwards in the end of May, and it was one of my favorite tracks I've ever driven, which is when it's backwards.
When you said that, I'm trying to visualize it.
Yeah.
Where do they put the start-finish line?
It's like up the hill. So turn 1 is I-70, and in the KZ or shifter, it's absolutely insane. It's 92 mile an hour to 25 miles an hour. It's like 6 to second, and having that in the shifter is awesome because there's so much passing on the brakes there. So I'm looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen anyone run it backwards.
Yeah, we did the Stars Championship Series race there, and they did it backwards, and then they did the little bus stop after the I-70. I don't know if you can visualize that. Yeah, and it was really, really cool. Like, I loved driving this track backwards.
Okay, so you're looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure.
So how does your team look right now? So we've already talked about AJ, Andrew, and yourself in the pro class. Do you have other drivers? Right. Do you do other classes besides shifters? Yeah,
so we have a G1 driver right now. His name's Amar Sanada. He just got into karting like last year actually, and he's made huge progress. So we're trying to get him even better. And then we have Annie Rule, she's been doing great in the Pro 2 class. She's definitely adapting to the kart and getting faster and faster every single weekend at a race. She's improving, so it's great to see. And then we have a KA kart or tag senior kart that we want to have someone put in, but we just haven't yet. And then we just got our first mini kart, and I actually just did a photo shoot for that kart, so that will be an announcement coming soon about that. So we hope to debut the mini and have a KA or X30 driver in Vegas if that happens.
Okay. Well, I think you just debuted the mini kart right now.
Yeah.
What is the name of the
mini kart? It was on
kart?
display this weekend. It was on display this weekend, so a few people saw it.
Okay. Yeah. And what are the different chassis names that you have? So it's Magik Kart is the main brand.
The KZ is the Bolt. The K is Magik Bolt. Okay. Yes. And then the KF is the Sonic, and then the Mini is the Journey.
So you have the Bolt,
so Magik Bolt,
the Sonic, the
Sonic,
Journey,
and Magik.
Nice.
Yep.
Magic Journey. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, we have it on display. If anyone wants to come see it, it'll be by our tent this weekend.
Yeah, and by all accounts online, it looked like it was a very successful event. A lot of entries in a lot of the different classes. And you had How many did you have in the pro class?
There's 12. I think.
There's 12.
It was decent. I mean, S1's always been like 10 to 15, so if we can get anywhere in between that, I think it's solid.
Yeah, but you also had some good names in that class too.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I mean, 3 of them are under 110, and then you had Danny out there.
Yeah.
I think
and
Danny has a little bit of pedigree, probably.
Yeah,
and who else was out there?
It was good. And then Kyle Wick.
Oh, yeah, Kyle Wick. Yep, from Washington.
Yep. And then Race Labronte. And then the Harding guys, Devin Smith Harding and Kyle Kennedy. And then you had Jordan Johnson, Pierce Baldus, and I think there's one or two more. I don't know.
I know that one. I should have actually had the names in front of me, but this show's about you, not about other people. Well, Rory, I mean, I really appreciate your time today. You definitely gave me a little bit of insight into your company. What are some of your future plans? You just announced you have the mini cart. What are some other things you have coming up?
Yeah, so I'm actually going into my junior year of engineering at the University of Delaware. But once I get out of college, I hope to really, really, really expand this and start diving into maybe possibly making it in-house or something. But that's down the road. It's too hard to tell right now because there's so many variables to do that, and it's a lot of work. Yeah,
that would be a whole different process.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of setup.
Yeah. But being an engineer, learning ins and outs of all this stuff, really, I think will really benefit me in the long run.
Yeah, and as far as so you have the SCUSA stuff coming up this weekend. What's the rest of your year look like besides school?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of races have actually been canceled, like the Lone Star Grand Prix in Texas that's put on by the Frenches. Apparently that got canceled. Rock Island got canceled. I don't know where any of the Vegas races stands, but and then
I think the promoters are probably afraid to put their neck way out, and it's out of their control almost.
Yeah. I mean, I hope to find out soon because a lot of planning goes into that race for me and us, our whole Magik brand, for like chassis and all that, getting drivers. So knowing sooner is better. Yeah.
I know a lot of the teams, they bring over new material for specifically just for Vegas. So they're in the process of selling off their 2020 chassis and putting fresh material under their carts just for the Super Nats, and that's a hell of an investment to sit there. It's like, oh, do we bring a container over? If the race doesn't happen, then what are we sitting on this for another 3 or 4 months? Especially you're on the East Coast. So what do you do in the winter? Do you travel down to Florida, or do you just freeze your ass off in the snow?
No, I go to Florida. So I'll usually go down to Florida for the Daytona Kart Week and then stay there until the Florida Winter Tour and all that.
Okay.
Yeah, because it gets way too cold. Like all of where I am are my home tracks, New Jersey Motorsports Park. So when end of November until the middle of March, the track's closed, so you can't even drive. So we actually just have to go down to Florida.
Got it. It's too cold anyway.
Yeah, like last year, the week before Supernats, I just went to go pound some laps, and it was like 33 degrees. I couldn't even get tire temperature or brake temperature or anything. Like, it was terrible.
Yeah, why would you do that to yourself?
I don't know, because I didn't drive for like a month. I was like, this is not good. I can't go into Supernats without driving for a month.
Were your fingers frozen on the steering wheel?
I had to wear 2 pairs of gloves.
33 degrees. Well, I mean, that's dedication.
Yeah, radiators. There was a radiator was like, well, you only could see one part of the radiator because it was all tape.
But you did. Well, you know what? You got out there and you did it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you guys are slammed this week, so I appreciate you taking out the time. Is there any shout outs or plugs you want to give to anybody as we wrap this up?
Definitely you and Rainey from SwedeTech for hooking us up on some killer engines.
Oh, we appreciate that. Thanks for putting them up front.
Thank you.
And then, let's give a plug out as well. So you have another interview coming up today.
I do.
You do. Give that one a plug. Go ahead.
I want to thank Rob Houghton for giving me the opportunity to express the weekend that we had and show people the potential of this chassis.
And then is that going to be a face-to-face interview or a podcast like this style?
Face-to-face.
Perfect.
And
so
that's
people
at,
can see your pretty face.
Eastern. Yeah, and that's at 2 o'clock Eastern.
2 o'clock Eastern. And that'll be on probably the Facebook page for e-karting news?
Yep.
So what you're saying is you use me as a warm-up, basically.
Yeah. This is just a warm-up.
So I'm I'm worn out practice tires. It's kind of messed
and then
up.
when I
Now
go
my
on,
feelings are hurt. Yeah. There you go. Well, Rory, thanks for joining us today. And you can find this podcast on Spreaker, SPREAKER.com, and just look up NorCal Karters. And thanks for coming on. So before you hang up, I'm going to click end and then stay on the line for me.
All right.